Welcome to the Crap Vegas podcast.
Vegas, here we come.
Vegas!
Here are your hosts, Chris and Josh.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 2024 Crap Vegas Bracket Challenge. Today, we're recording the first episode of the challenge. We're featuring the Linus region, and joining me, as always, is Josh.
Hey there.
And our special guest for the first episode, celebrity from Vegas. You've seen him in movies. He's at your stand-up club every weekend. He's a hilarious guy. It's Keith Lyle.
Hey, how you doing, everybody? And former crap dealer, although you're never really a former dealer, you always are a dealer. So I have experience working in many of the casinos that we're going to talk about. So, and lots of stories.
Just like
Which is perfect.
Just like you're never a former craps player either.
No. Once you're a degenerate, you're always a degenerate. I mean, a craps player, you're always a craps player.
That's right.
That's what we say, at least. Okay, Josh, let's talk about the contest rules. Since we started talking about this idea back in what feels like February of last year, but I think it was actually November, we had put out a lot of rules, and here's what they say. The Crap Vegas 2024 Property Bracket Challenge has been set up with effectively no contest rules. The bracket was seeded by the Crap Vegas team with helpful input from others that didn't even know they were helping. Some teams are in the contest that probably shouldn't qualify, and other properties were left off for absolutely no reason. The final four we will get down to at the end, but at the beginning, it's all about fun, so let's just keep it going. Winner determination. So here's how this is going to work. Josh, myself, and Keith are all going to have a vote in all the different matches that we have today. And of course, we also threw this out on Twitter as a public poll and also to our patrons. So we have 5 total votes. Whoever gets 3 or more is going to move on to the next round. Maybe Keith can sway me out of my very hard set beliefs that I have on these properties. We'll find out. But Josh, you ready to go?
I'm ready.
Keith, you good to go, my friend?
I'm good.
Okay, so let's kick it off with the first matchup. We have the number 1 seed Venetian, opened back on May 4th, 1999, now owned by Vici Properties. Sands is long gone. They're a North Strip property, and a little fun fact, the indoor Grand Canal holds more than 273,000 gallons of water, and the deeper outdoor canal holds more than 570,000. Using a standard garden hose for 24 hours a day, it would take 65 days to fill the indoor canal. And I'm going to say before we even say anything else, Josh came up with these fun facts, and that is the longest, most convoluted fact I've ever heard about a property in my life.
But don't you want to know how long?
Fact.
Yeah, how long it takes to fill the canal?
It would take all of Josh's friends 20 hours and 16 kegs to fill it up with pee.
I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah, exactly.
What I was looking for was how much money they fish out of the canal, but I couldn't find that.
Oh, I guarantee it's millions by the end of the year, it feels like. Mm-hmm. But anyways, the number 1 seed Venetian's going to be going off against the number 16 seed Fremont, opened back on May 18th of 56. That property has been there for a while. They are owned by Boyd Gaming, so I get plenty of nice offers from them all the time to try to come down there, and I never do. But a fun fact about that, in 1959, Wayne Newton made his start in Las Vegas at the Fremont at its Carnival Lounge.
Which is pretty cool, and he's still going.
He's still kicking it, man.
As is Fremont.
Both are past their prime.
So
it's true.
Exactly. Keith, let's let you kick it off. So we got number 1 seed Venetian against number 16 seed Fremont. What are your thoughts on this matchup?
Well, this is a great matchup. I actually have put in 14 years working at the Venetian from 2002 to 2016-ish, 2017, somewhere in there. A lot of great times, a lot of great stories. It's a Class A property, number 1, top. I mean, every room's a suite,
right?
725 square feet to begin with. When it opened, every room had a fax machine. Obviously, that's not as important now, but every room, because it was a business hotel. They had the Sands Convention Center, all these things.
Right.
And what a great business model it had. Sheldon Adelson had this great business model where during the week it was going to be meetings, conventions, and that kind of thing. And then on the weekends, it was going to be, traditional Las Vegas gambling. So, and a lot of other properties have taken that on. So that's just the genius of, and the reason why Sheldon Adelson, one of the best casino operators of all time. I had the pleasure of working there, and before it went public, you'd see him all the time in like the employee dining room asking if you're getting enough food, if it was good, once it went public, then he got insulated, and then there were people who were trying to act on his behalf, and it went down. Working there was not as much fun. As far as the Fremont goes, the Fremont was one of those properties that the mob once owned. Well, the straw man situation from Casino. That was one of their first properties that they had. So, which is an interesting fact too. A lot of Hawaiians down there, because it's Boyd Gaming. They cater to a lot of Hawaiians and bring them in downtown. It's a 1 versus 16 matchup. You're going for the old style of downtown and history versus one of the best, most beautiful properties in Las Vegas. The Fremont really doesn't have a chance in this matchup. It's the Venetian all the way.
Okay, Josh.
I don't know if I have anything to add to what Keith said. This one's not really going to be close. As much as I like to pull for the underdog and the old property and classic, I got to vote for Venetian here.
Now, Josh, does it sway your vote at all if I tell you the Fremont does have a Dunkin' Donuts and a Steak and Shake? Does that push you over the edge?
Because Venetian has that your fancy donut place.
It has Donutique, which is very good, but there's a big difference between a Dunkin' Donut $1 donut and a Donutique $9 donut.
That's true.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. No, I don't have anything to sway anybody over on this one. I'm going with the Venetian as well. Fremont's a fine property, but these are apples and oranges.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on. The next matchup, we have number 8 Virgin against number 9 Excalibur. So the Virgin opened back in 2021 under their new ownership and rebranding, but the casino property itself was opened back in 95. It was originally the Hard Rock. I know a lot of people love the Hard Rock.
Mm-hmm.
Great place, great scene, the music, the pool, everything. Hard Rock, amazing. Virgin, not as much nowadays, but they are owned by JC Hospitality and Hard Rock Hotels. And the casino is operated by the Mohegan Gaming and Entertainment Group, an affiliate of the Mohegan Tribe, making it the first Native American tribe to operate a Las Vegas casino. What a fun fact, Josh.
I thought so too.
You did terrific.
Thank you.
Going off against the number 9 seed Excalibur, opened back in 1990. They're owned by Vici Properties now, which feels like owns every MGM property from what I can tell nowadays. But they did open in 90. The Tournament of Kings, a medieval themed show featuring sword fights and jousting, is the longest running dinner show on the Strip. This makes Excalibur the largest purchaser of Cornish game hens in the United States.
Now that's a fun fact.
I mean, who doesn't want to? I mean, that obviously is going to swing Keith's vote here. He wasn't thinking Excalibur for a minute, but when he heard about the Cornish game hens, that's the direction he's going.
Well, I was thinking about the mail review that they have there and sword fights.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit of the same.
Is that Thunder from Down Under, or is that the?
I believe it's Thunder from Down Under. Yeah.
Josh, I'm glad you nailed that right off the top. That's good. Good.
Before we jump into Keith's analysis, I do have, Keith, a commercial from 30 years ago that I found for Excalibur. So I'm going to play that. Go ahead.
Okay.
Discover Las Vegas magic. Excalibur Hotel Casino, located on the most exciting four corners of the Strip, with rooms for $59 Sunday through Thursday, now until November 3rd. Enjoy 6 marvelous restaurants, non-stop family entertainment. King Arthur's Dinner Show Spectacular. Phone 1-800-937-7777. Excalibur. It will take your breath away.
You know what my biggest takeaway from that is?
What?
That the rooms back then cost more than they cost now.
Yeah.
It's been 30 years and the rooms were still more expensive back then.
But there was no resort fees.
No, there weren't resort fees at the time.
They didn't have to have a resort fee back then.
No, you definitely didn't need to.
That's true.
So we got 8 seed Virgin, 9 seed Excalibur. Keith, what are your thoughts?
This is a tough one. There's a lot of history here. I could say that I think the Virgin is a sleeper. The rooms there, if you haven't seen them, are fantastic. I mean, they're really nice, much nicer than it was during the Hard Rock. In the casino there, all the blackjack's 3-2.
Right.
It's a small little operation. It's not quite as loud and obnoxious as it was during the Hard Rock because we've all kind of aged a little bit. They still have a lot of the old dealers there that used to be there. I think it's a great spot. This is a tight matchup because Excalibur's great for what it was. It was they built it, it was the first one. It had 3,500 rooms and a whole bunch. It was themed and all this stuff. But again, past its prime, whereas the Virgin has had a rebranding, had an update, is kind of newer, sleeper property. And I got to say, if I had a choice of where I wanted to stay coming to Vegas or where I wanted to gamble, I'd pick the Virgin.
Okay. Josh, I'll fill you in on how the public voted on this.
All right.
Both our public Twitter and our Patreon members both voted for Excalibur. So right now we got a 2-1 pick with Excalibur. What are your thoughts on this matchup?
So if I pick Excalibur, that's
it
it.
would put it over the edge.
You're Mr.
So
Irrelevant.
No pressure at all.
Well, Keith makes some really good points. And I was thinking about this. We don't have any criteria about what determines our vote. It's not if I were stranded on a desert island with one casino property, where would I rather play or stay? It could be anything. And I think, Keith, you're right about, I'm sure I would like the rooms better. I haven't stayed since they redid it as Virgin, but I'm sure I'd like the rooms better than Excalibur. I took my wife to Excalibur once and she made me promise never to take her there again.
And the Virgin, by the way, is extremely dog friendly. Like when you walk in there, you're going to see a lot of dogs. Yeah.
Interesting. But I think just for the history of the theming and just what it is on the strip, the Dirty Castle, I'm going to have to go with Excalibur.
Okay, so Josh is going to put this one over and push Excalibur through. My thoughts, Excalibur...
You give a courtesy Virgin vote here?
Before we recorded this, I was very strong Excalibur, but I think Keith has sold me on a couple things. I have played there multiple times right after they first opened, and I think anybody that's listened to our show before kind of knows my thoughts. I found it to be kind of dead. There just weren't a lot of people there. I didn't have a great experience in the high limit room. The dealers weren't that great at the time. Drink service, I almost had to walk to an empty bar and get my own drink, but it is a beautiful property. I've heard the rooms are great. Excalibur is extremely dirty, but it caters to a certain group of people, and they do a good job catering to those people. So I'm going to give Excalibur my vote. I'm not going to give Virgin just a courtesy vote. I don't think that's the right thing to do, but it is a lot closer than I thought it would be. Moving on to the third matchup, we have the number 5 Horseshoe against number 12 Downtown Grand. Horseshoe opened originally in December 4th, 1973. Back then it was the MGM Grand. And then converted over to Bally's from 86 to 22. And here we are today with the current iteration, the Horseshoe. It's owned by Caesars Entertainment. And fun fact, the resort was home to the long-running Jubilee theatrical show, which ran from 81 to 2016. Josh, did you ever see it?
I never saw it. Did you?
I saw it twice. And it was good. It wasn't the best show I'd ever seen before, but I actually saw it the final year before it closed for a second time. So that was
really
really
fun. Did you see the topless version?
I did not.
Okay.
So the 2 times I saw it, it was not topless. That might have actually helped it a little bit. I'm not going to lie. A little nudity goes a long way in my voting, so I would have taken that. But Horseshoe's going to be going up against the number 12 Downtown Grand. That was built back in 61. Originally, it opened as Honest John's, which was a newsstand and a barber shop. Became a full-time casino in 64, thanks to Andy Tompkins. Then it became Lady Luck, and it was that way from the 60s all the way through 2006. And then it finally reopened as we know it now. Josh, fun fact about Downtown Grand. In January 2019, construction began on their 495-room hotel tower. The 8-story tower located on the east side of the Downtown Grand property was topped off in February 2020. The addition, known as the Gallery Tower, opened on September 22nd of 2020, bringing their room count up to 1124. And that's when you know you're really struggling for a fact about a property when you just mention the hotel rooms that were added at that point. So, Keith, tell us what your thoughts are on this. We got number 5 Horseshoe and number 12 Downtown Grand.
I have a little bit of history with both these properties. I have done comedy shows at both. Horseshoe, back when it was Bally's, LA Comedy Club was there. I did quite a few shows there. I believe it was Jokesters Comedy Club after that, and I was a regular there. At Downtown Grand, we had Delirious Comedy Club, and Downtown Grand just didn't... They put the room that the comedy club was in up for rent without telling the owners of the comedy club that they were doing that. Yeah, so the owners of the comedy club call them up and like, yeah, we'd like to get that room. And they go, oh, really? What are you? And they said, what business are you? And said, well, we're the comedy club currently in it. So, and they turned it into like a jazz kind of thing that no one goes to. So that was kind of a mistake with them. The general manager at the time, he just got fired, the general manager. He wanted to turn it into a place for value-driven players and tourists, which is, it It's a great property for what it is, being off of the Fremont Street experience, because you don't hear all the noise of Fremont Street.
Right.
But it's also, when you go through there, the people, and if it's going to be low end, you're gambling, you're going to get low end people in there. And I personally do not need to be around low end people. I'm kind of glad that the comedy club isn't there anymore and moved to a different location now. The Horseshoe, when it was Bally's, and before that MGM, a little bit of history there. That was the one where the hotel, they had a fire and some people died. There's a lot with that. I think it's been mismanaged over the years. To be honest, these are two pigs.
I agree.
True, yeah.
These aren't the best properties in town, but if I had to pick one over the other, I would take the Horseshoe over Downtown Grand. It's really an easy choice between the two of them.
Okay. Josh, thoughts?
Yeah, I don't think I have much else to add. I know Downtown Grad definitely caters to low rollers. Horseshoe is just that lower tier Caesars property. Nothing super special. I do like what they've done with the renovated poker room area and the World Series of Poker. They've got plaques up for all the past winners, and that's a nice little improvement that they've made. So yeah, that's got my vote. I don't think it's that close, but I agree it's not that exciting a matchup.
Yeah, I wasn't really pushed one way or another on this one. I liked Bally's for a while because they had a really good high-limit blackjack game. They didn't have a high-limit room. They couldn't actually get a room, but they had that little elevated platform area.
They still do for slots.
Where they stick it next to a bunch of slots. Yeah. But they had a $50 high-limit game. So it was a good game. It was 50. Most Caesars properties started at 100. It was a great place to go play. So I'd stay at Cromwell, walk over there, play there for a while, get some blue ribbon fried chicken, and then head back. They need to reopen that, by the way. By far the best chicken tenders in Vegas, in my opinion. But anyways, I just never loved the property outside of that. Downtown Grand, they do have a rooftop pool, which I know a lot of people like. You know me, I don't go to pools, so that doesn't bother me one way or the other. The only thing I will say, I had lunch a couple times at Triple George. They have a really good lunch, especially a great burger. It was an amazing burger. Go. So I feel like I should give Downtown Grand a pity vote here. But that being said, the public voted for Horseshoe and so did Patreon. So it's going to be a 4-1 win for Horseshoe.
Clean sweep.
Well, I mean, I'm giving my vote to Downtown Grand.
Oh, you are officially.
Clean.
Okay.
I am, but it's going to be a 4-1 take there. Moving on to our next matchup, we got the number 4 seed Mandalay Bay going against number 13 seed Palace Station. So Mandalay Bay opened back in 99, again owned by Vici Properties. Thank you, MGM, for selling off all your properties there to make some money. Fun fact about the Mandalay Bay, it opened at 10 p.m. on March 2nd, 99. Grand opening festivities included the Blues Brothers. Oh, that'd be kind of cool to see. Leading a procession of 200 motorcycles to Mandalay Bay's front door. Later, they performed at the resort's House of Blues Club. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Number 13 seed Palace Station opened back in 76. It's owned by Station Casinos. And on the night of September 13th, that's my daughter's birthday, by the way, this was in 2007, though, a group of men led by O.J. Simpson entered a room in the Palace Station and was allegedly stealing memorabilia at gunpoint. This resulted in Simpson being found guilty of 12 charges and sentenced to 33 years in prison. So I'm sure they put that on a plaque right at the front door when you walk in.
I thought that was the best fun fact.
They were found guilty.
Well, allegedly.
They did time over it.
So. Yeah, that's
true. There's no allegedly.
Hey, well, you know, Josh, I think it's going to be a fun matchup here. I don't have high expectations for Palace Station, but maybe Keith will push us in that direction. Keith, are you a huge Palace Station fan?
I am not, but interesting. I have when I first started doing comedy there, they had a Bonkers Comedy Club, and that was the first place I did my stand-up. And I have some great memories of doing shows there. I was there the night Grandma Lee crapped on herself in the middle of her act. That was really special. I'd never seen that before. It's an interesting property because if I'm not mistaken, it started as Bingo Station and eventually became Palace Station. It's got a lot of long history there. On the other side, Mandalay Bay, it used to be Hacienda. And I remember, I believe it was 97 or 98, New Year's Eve, they blew up the Hacienda. I remember being on the Strip to see it. I've only been on the Strip for 2 New Year's Eves. That's all you need, by the way. One is really enough. And
I agree.
It was that one. And a fun personal fact is when it was the Hacienda, my father-in-law was the casino manager there when it went from the Bailey family, Judy Bailey, owning it to the corporation that bought it that was the straw man in the movie Casino. And although he thought he was going to be fired because the new corporation always brings in their own people, They already had their own people from the street and other places, and they asked him to stay on and continue to manage the property in the casino. And he said, listen, I have a gaming license. I'm from a small town in Arkansas, and the Gaming Control Board went back and interviewed everyone in this town about me. I'll stay on and manage your property, but I do not want any shenanigans. I don't want to be involved in anything. And the mob said, perfect. You're our guy.
You're the guy we want,
for
right?
Many years. Yeah, he ran the casino for many years. So I'm on the side of Mandalay Bay. Also, by the way, Mandalay Bay is a great property. It's got a ton of great restaurants, beautiful things. They built the convention center. It's close to the football arena, the football stadium. I mean, it's really a dynamic property that I think's kind of gotten lost over the last few years with all the other new properties that have opened up since. I think we forget what a great spot that place really is.
I agree with you. Josh?
Yeah, in another bracket, it may not be a 4 seed. It may be higher.
Right.
Well, the seating committee was pretty horrible. It was only one person that handled it, but it happens.
Some years the committee is a little tougher than others.
That's right. That's right. They were hard on Mandalay Bay. Having just been there like a week ago, I didn't stay there, but we wandered in and out of the casino and ate there. I think it's still a beautiful property. It's a little dark for me inside, but I still like it a lot. And you're right, Keith, everything you said, the convention center is huge. You got the Shark Reef Aquarium. And really, the OJ thing is about the only thing I found interesting about Palace Station.
That's not saying much.
And so my vote is pretty easily Mandalay Bay.
Yeah, I'm not going to add anything more here. I had Mandalay Bay as well. So did the public. So this is going to be a 5-0 sweep. So finishing out the top of the bracket, Josh, it looks like moving on to the round of 32, we're going to have Venetian playing Excalibur. So that will be an interesting one. And Horseshoe playing Mandalay Bay. So we'll get back to those matches soon, but let's move to the other side of the bracket. The number 6 seed, New York is going to be going against the number 11 seed, Plaza, downtown. So New York was opened in 97, again owned by Vici Properties. And the fun fact Josh has is about the Big Apple coaster, which is about the most boring fact I've ever read. So we're going to skip right over that.
No, you can't.
Yes, we are.
At least say how fast it goes. It goes 67 miles an hour.
Wow. If it was 69, maybe somebody would have laughed, but
that's right.
67's not very excited. They're going to be playing against
the extra 2 miles.
Exactly. I mean, somebody failed at their job there, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, just make it a little bit steeper and you got it. Number 11 seed Plaza, they opened back in 71. In 2010, the Plaza purchased top flight wallpaper, carpet, tiles, sofas, chairs, desks, everything you can possibly imagine from Fontainebleau in their first bankruptcy proceeding for pennies on the dollar. So now Plaza has old Fontainebleau stuff, and that's what they use nowadays. And Josh, a little fun fact, my company, we actually did a lot of the work in the original Fontainebleau group. However many years ago it actually was.
Right.
They paid their bill and they never actually opened. And so they ended up buying brand new paneling and everything else when they reopened. So we actually got to do the job twice.
Did Plaza get their paneling too?
I don't know if they did. I didn't ask. Once they pay, I don't care what they do. But yeah, that was pretty funny. But the voting public here has said that New York is going to be the winner of this one for both Patreon and Twitter. But Keith, what are your thoughts on this one?
Well, I have personal experience working at the Plaza. It was my second job. I dealt a 25-cent crap game there for a little while, and then I got good enough they moved me up to the $1 crap game.
Whoa, that's when it's getting serious.
This is back when Jackie Gaughan owned it. I remember being on a craps table there. They used to have 10 times odds, and there was a little bit of a roll, and Jackie Gaughan Jr. came into the pit, took the dice off the table, and broke them in the middle of the pit with a hammer. I had never seen that before. I hadn't been in the business that long. It was back then. It wasn't a great place, but it's had 2 different owners since then. And to be honest, they've cleaned it up real good. The guy that runs it now, Jonathan Jostle, you'll find him all over social media. They have the Oscars restaurant from Oscar Goodman, the mayor. A great view down Fremont Street. Let's see. Oh, we filmed Get Him to the Greek there at the Plaza.
Yeah.
Nice. That was a good time. I got to enjoy myself with that. So if I'm being honest, New York is okay. Great place. Had my college graduation party there at the Dueling Piano Bar. Another nice property. But for me, I'm going to go with the Plaza on this one in an upset.
Oh, I like it. So it's 2-1 New York. Josh, what are your thoughts here?
Well, I agree with everything you said. And I think, Jonathan Jostle and his team have done a great job reinvigorating that property. And I'll tell you, having just been downtown last week, one of the places that we wanted to go to do some low limit gambling was Plaza. And I think you can't argue with that. And New York, while it's a fine kind of middle lower tier property, I would say on the MGM side, I've never been that excited about it. I don't think the rooms are great. I think the casino floor is okay, but it doesn't inspire me. I'm going to go with the upset here too and pick Plaza.
Oh, no pressure on me here at all then. So we got a 2-2 vote going into it. You know, here's my thoughts. New York is just your average everyday MGM property. There's absolutely nothing special about it. The restaurants they're fine. They're not bad. They're not good. I like the America restaurant. It's fine. You know, I like that they have their shops that are kind of like Greenwich Village and you walk through the restaurants. Right. It's on like the old brick layout and stuff. It's kind of cool, but again, I don't really like playing there. I've never found their dealers to be very good. And quite frankly, the last time I tried to go play craps there in the morning,
we couldn't find a game.
Craps. There was no craps tables open. I've never had that issue at Plaza before. So that's a big plus for him. And you're right. I think Jonathan Jossel, he's doing everything he can with the property that he has. I mean, you can't make Plaza any better than it really is.
Right.
He loves influencers and stuff, which I don't really care one way or the other about, but he does everything he can to get his property in front of people. I don't think New York tries that hard. They just kind of are what they are. Going into this, I was gonna give my vote to New York, but you guys have swayed me. I'm switching. I'm putting Plaza through to the next round.
There we go.
Hey,
I didn't even have to talk about the $10 Blues Lounge at the Plaza.
That's right. And you've got the new carousel. You've got the Carousel video poker bar there in the middle, right?
I mean, you have what you have in a property, and then you do what you can to make it better. Where New York has a property on that hot corner, and it's like we're
just
here.
done nothing.
Right.
Come join us.
Right.
Yeah.
I agree with you. Yeah, you swung me over on this one. Okay, so they're going to play the winner of the next matchup between the number 3 seed Vidara and the number 14 seed Rampart. So Vidara, as most people know, is just a hotel property and condominium property. No casino there. But they opened back in 2009. They're owned by Blackstone Group. The fun fact Josh gives us is that a design problem discovered in 2008 meant that the hotel's reflective surface and concave design acted as a collecting mirror. The reflected rays of the sun create dangerous conditions of extremely high temperatures at their pool deck. Hotel employees and news outlets referred to the phenomenon as the death ray, while management referred to the term as solar convergence. That does sound a little bit softer. Management installed large blue umbrellas over the pool deck to protect the bathers, while the hotel's glass exterior has been covered with a non-reflective film. Thank God there's no more death rays in that area. That is good. They're going against number 14C Rampart, who opened back in 99. It's owned by Hotspur Resorts, but it's a JW Marriott property for a lot of people that are coming in on that sort of thing. It's up in Summerlin. It's a very nice area, and it's known for attracting locals in Summerlin. And it features the Marketplace Buffet and is located on the property of the JW Marriott, which we just said. So thank you for overlapping your fun fact, Josh, with my basic facts that I had about the property. But so here, the public says that Vidara is the winner here. Both patrons and the Twitter poll gave it to Vidara. But Keith, are you going to sway me again and get me to vote for Rampart?
This is a tough one, only because Vidara is just a hotel.
Right.
And it's a hotel that is a mess, and it was a mess because of the death ray, and there was another hotel that was right next to it that never opened, that was going to built all weird, and that was going to collapse. I mean, that city center there for a while was a real mess. So, and stuff. Rampart, I've done comedy shows at Rampart. They used to do comedy shows. It's one of the few buffets left in town. You know, Las Vegas got rid of the buffets soon, about 2 weeks after pot became legal, because these potheads were eating them into bankruptcy. So they had to get rid of them.
That's a good point, yeah.
Yeah, it's not because of COVID or anything else, because casinos are inherently cheap now, these corporations, and they didn't want to be eaten into bankruptcy by the people coming into town and getting the good stuff. So as far as niceness goes, I think Vidara is the nicer property, so it deserves the vote. But Rampart really makes a run to make it a very, very close matchup. This one could go either way. Boy, do you go with the locals or do you go, I mean, with the hotel with no casino? I'm torn. I'd like to hear what Josh has to say. I could go either way.
Okay, he's going to pass his vote for a minute, Josh. What do you think?
Well, I'm torn too, and I thought this was an interesting matchup that the selection committee made, because Vidara has no casino, and technically Rampart isn't the hotel. It's JW Marriott's the hotel. So it makes it a tougher. I'm kind of biased, Keith, because I got set up really nicely for my wife's birthday trip at a two floor loft room at Vidara that was pretty nice. So, I get the appeal of the locals property. Rampart's one of the most popular, but I think I'm going Vidara.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so since Vidara already has the 3 votes, I could feel comfortable giving my vote to Rampart. And perfect.
And just to make the people that are huge Rampart fans even matter, because there are a bunch of them. We got a bunch of messages from people
are passionate about
that
Rampart.
said, no, Rampart's the best. It's amazing. The last time I was there, Josh, I really did like it because I like the interior. I like the carpet. They had that big kind of domey ceiling that looked really cool over the main gaming area. I thought it was really cool. It had a nice vibe to it. I would definitely enjoy playing there. I don't get to play it all at Vidara, so I'm going to give my vote to Rampart as well. So you were the decision maker on this one. It's going to be a 3-2 win for Vidara. Moving on to the next matchup, we have number 7 seed Sahara going against the number 10 seed, the Orleans. Sahara, everybody knows, opened way back in the early 50s. And the fast fact that Josh has is that the property revolutionized the lounge act in the 1950s and hosted performances from big-name celebrities over the years, including Johnny Carson, Tony Bennett, Sonny and Cher, Liberace, and even Judy Garland. And in 1956, Abbott and Costello appeared together for the first time on the Sahara stage.
Last time.
I read first. Okay, well, the last time on the Sahara stage before their permanent breakup. Good fact that I do not care about. Going against the number 10 seed, though, Orleans. It's owned by Boyd Gaming. It opened back in 96. And the fast fact is that it includes the large multi-purpose Orleans Arena that can be converted into an ice rink and can seat 9,000 attendees. So what a fun matchup. Number 7 seed Sahara against number 10 the Orleans. And I must say, going into this was the least excited or passionate I was about any vote in this whole thing. But here's the good thing, though, Josh. Our public poll, the Orleans won. Our Patreon poll, the Sahara won. So we're going into this tied 1-1. Keith, lead us off here.
All right. Well, I have experience at both these properties working again. After I graduated UNLV, I left town, went to LA to work for my uncle. That didn't work out. I moved back in early 2002, short time after 9/11. And the only job I could really get was dealing $1 blackjack at the Sahara on Graveyard. Okay. So kudos to them for getting me back in the business. Shame on them for it being $1 blackjack and a bunch of what we call fleas and scumbags. A lot of history at the Sahara, too. I mean, we're talking about Johnny Carson used to work there. Don Rickles was in the lounge. I mean, just tons and tons of really quality history. Now, when we go to the Orleans, I actually worked there, too. That's where I worked at after the Sahara. And the thing about the Orleans is they have everything you want there in a property. You could go bowling there. You could go to a movie there. You could buy your drugs there, hookers, whatever you want. It's all there.
It's all right there.
Yeah, and believe me, people have done it all there. Gaming there is pretty good. When I was there, it was like a $3 craps game in 2002. I actually met my wife there. I was on a crap game. She was on a baccarat game across the aisle. And a guy turned off the baccarat game after the hand and snorted right on the floor. And I had my supervisor call over and offer the guy a Kleenex. And when we went on break, that was my introduction in how to be a conversation. Did you see that guy blow snot on the... Like, I can't have that. No ashes and no snot on the floor where I work. I don't care. They wrote me up one time for... Someone asked where the bathroom was, and I said, just go anywhere. The whole place is a toilet. And they got upset with that. I thought that was funny. But if I had to pick between the two, if I had to stay at one or the other, I would pick the Orleans. So I'm going with the Orleans in this one.
Okay, Josh, 2-1 the Orleans so far. What do you got here?
This is really tough. Chris and I went to the Orleans, Keith, not too long ago and liked it. I mean, we didn't spend a ton of time there, but we liked the cruise a lot. We thought the games were good, liked the place, liked the feel of it. At the same time, Sahara's got the history that's just kind of almost unparalleled. This is really tough. I think... Yeah.
Unfortunately, if you go to the Sahara, you're kind of stuck at the Sahara because you're really not leaving the property going anywhere else.
Yeah, yeah. I think just because we went there, maybe a recency bias thing, even though Sahara has been renovated a couple times recently and is updated, I think I'm still going to pick the Orleans.
Okay, fair enough. I was going to ask Keith his opinion on this before I got too deep into my complaint about Sahara. I like Bazaar Meat a lot. I think it's a really good restaurant. I've enjoyed it every time I've gone there. But the one thing I don't like about Sahara, it's the same thing I hold against a lot of properties. I do not like the North Strip, period. It's not a safe area every time I'm up there. You never know what you're going to see. And it's not an area I feel comfortable. Keith, is this am I just way out of my league here saying that the North Strip is a bad area and I shouldn't be walking around?
You are not.
Okay.
It is, when you say safe, I've seen it get worse, and I've seen it move further. Like if you drive down to past Sahara behind it, a little bit further east, you'll see that there's like a homeless embankment. Like if you go down Joe W. Brown on the way to Westgate, you see a lot of it. It's not. I wouldn't walk from there 2 blocks to Stratosphere. And it's a shame because the Golden Steer is right around the corner. Great restaurant. I mean, there's some nice stuff in the area, but it's really unless there's an opportunity for them to put the A's Stadium across the street where they have a music venue there. Circus is right there, and it's got the same owner of both. So there's an opportunity for them to kind of change the area and clean it up a little bit. But until they do, it is like I said, if you're at the Sahara, you're staying at the Sahara. You're not going anywhere. There's nowhere to go, really.
Right.
There's nothing near there. It's 2 blocks. It's a block to get to Golden Steer. It's 2 blocks to Stratosphere. Maybe you go to the convention center. That's even a far walk.
No, I get you on that one. The only time I ever went that far north up the Strip is if I wanted to go to the Pepper Mill and eat, and I didn't even want to go there. I mean, that was about the only thing that dragged me up there. I don't particularly like Sahara very much. I feel the same way about the Stratosphere. Last time we were there, we were greeted by numerous police with weapons drawn as we were walking into the property.
I'm feeling an upset here.
It's as if they knew you were coming.
That's right.
Exactly.
I'm feeling 100%. An upset coming though.
So my vote's going to go to the Orleans. That's going to make it 4-1. They're going to move on to the next round. And in the last matchup in this region for the first round of 64, we got the number 2 seed Resorts World going against number 15 seed El Cortez. So most people know Resorts World opened back in 2021. It's owned by the Genting Group, who has more money than they know what to do with, obviously. And the fact that Josh has is that Resorts World was the first new resort to be completed on the Vegas Strip since the Cosmopolitan opened in 2010. At a cost of $4.3 billion, Resorts World is the most expensive resort property ever developed in Las Vegas. You wouldn't know it by going there, but that's a fun fact. Number 15, El Cortez, opened back in 41. It's owned by Kenny Epstein. It's the first luxury hotel in downtown Las Vegas, officially opened with a casino, restaurant, cafe, floor show, and 59 rooms. The vintage rooms are still open and available to hotel guests looking for an authentic and historic experience. Josh, have you ever stayed in one of their vintage rooms?
I have not, and I'm going to wait for Keith to try and sell me on staying in the vintage rooms.
I mean, that is amazing marketing right there. We're not putting any money into this shithole. We're going to call it a vintage room and give you an experience.
It's vintage. It's not old and decrepit and crusty. Yeah. It's vintage.
That is good marketing money right there is what that is.
Well, I could tell you about my experience at the El Cortez. It is where I broke into dealing in January 1994. I started working there on a 25-cent crap table. It was owned by Jackie Gaughan at the time, who was really old then, as a matter of fact. And in order to get the job, you had to go upstairs to where he lived in his suite and get interviewed by him. Why do you want to work here?
Oh, wow.
Ironically, last year, we filmed a TV show called Statute of Limitations that's going to be on Hulu.
Okay.
It's a recreation show hosted by The Situation, Mike Sorrentino.
Oh.
Yeah. From Jersey Shore,
right?
And it's a story. It's about things that have crimes past the statute of limitations. So we did the recreations.
Right.
One of the recreations were up in Jackie Gaughan's suite, and I was like, "Wow, I've been here before. It hasn't changed a bit." And they had a video phone, so you could see who's outside, like a Ring doorbell from like 1986 with all mirrors and everything.
Oh wow.
25-cent crap game. I was there. A guy had a heart attack on the crap game.
Nice.
And he survived. And as they were wheeling him out, he took the mask off and said to the pit boss, "Hey, Tony, where's the $6.50 I had on the table in action?" And the pit boss said, "Hey, the next roll was 7 out. You didn't call your bets off."
There you go.
We locked it up, and they wouldn't give him back his $6.50. I was like, "Oh my!" I was 23 years old. I was like, "Oh my god!
Wow,
this business is nuts." Yeah, and now Resorts World, they blew a lot of money on the place. They could have done it nicer or different. I mean, they could have spent their money better. It was originally going to have pandas in there.
I know. I missed
that. The
that.
Genting Group is, I think they're based out of Philippines. And they've turned it around. They started off slow. They've gotten much better. They have great shows and they're great concerts.
Yeah.
From what I understand, the dealers are now making excellent money there. So as far as I'm concerned, as much as the El Cortez was once owned by Benjamin Bugsy Siegel. So, I mean, a lot of great history there. But for me, I would think Resorts World. I think the 2 seating's a little high, but it gets my vote in this one.
I was waiting for you, Keith, to sway me over to vote for El Cortez, but Resorts World. I think the two really are almost in 2 different worlds. And as much as I kind of want to root for or vote for El Cortez because they're the underdog, I got to do Resorts World.
Yeah, I'm there with you. I mean, don't get me wrong. El Cortez has a special place in my heart, being a place that I'm not allowed to go to anymore. So it just, it builds every year. But that being said, it is a shithole. And I really probably wouldn't go there even if I could nowadays. I have a lot of feelings about Resorts World, some positive, some negative, but I'll share that when we have a closer matchup where it really matters.
Yeah.
So let's move Resorts World on.
You not being able to go to El Cortez is really the only reason why I would vote for it.
There you go. I mean, perfect.
It's
that
the
makes
only
sense to me.
positive I see there.
So, Josh, let's wrap up what we had here in the first round of the Linus bracket. Our winners, we had the number 1 seed Venetian. They're going to be going off against the number 9 seed Excalibur in the second round. We had the number 5 seed Horseshoe. With them winning, they're going to be going against number 4 seed Mandalay Bay. That's going to be a really exciting matchup in the next round, I think. Moving down to the bottom side of the bracket, we're going to have Plaza, which was a big surprise upset, as the 11th seed going against number 3 seed Vidara. And we're also going to have another upset. We're going to have the number 10 seed, the Orleans, going off against the number 2 seed Resorts World. Anything that really surprised you after going through the picks this week?
Well, I think Plaza advancing, and I'll tell you right now, I'm going to pick my upset for the next round. I'm going to pick Plaza to beat Vidara in the next round.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that would be interesting. I mean, Vidara doesn't have a casino.
Right.
That does work against it pretty heavily, honestly, but I don't know. We'll see what the public thinks, and I haven't shared my opinion yet. Anything, Keith, you took away from the first round voting?
Well, I thought some of the seating was interesting. I think, you
That's a nice word.
Stop slamming the selection committee.
Number 4, Mandalay Bay going up against number 5, Horseshoe. I think, maybe the Horseshoe may have been high at number 5, but and Plaza, 11 was probably the right spot for Plaza, but it is an underdog up-and-comer and definitely capable of making a Cinderella run like you would see in March Madness.
Right.
So I'm not surprised by some of the upsets that we've had. Even, a number 9 seed beating an 8 seed when Excalibur beats Virgin. I'm not surprised.
Yeah, absolutely. So really interesting matchups coming up the next time we record on this group. But overall, just a big thank you to you, Keith, for coming and joining us for this. You have a lot of insight on the actual Vegas market that we will never have because we don't live there. So not to mention, it seems like you've worked for 90% of the properties that we talked about today.
Well, I worked for them, but not because I got fired at another place. I was just kind of moving up the scale.
Yes, yeah.
That's how I started with the Cortez, and then I moved to the Plaza, and then I moved to Monte Carlo, and then so I was
you
moving
don't have
up
to
the scale
explain
a
it to
little
us.
bit.
I believe everything you say.
Sometimes people get fired from one place and go to another place. That's
Josh's life. I mean, Josh gets fired every day. He's moving on day to day. Keith, I'm sure you have a bunch of stuff to tell us about that you'd like to share.
If you want to follow me on social media, I'm always at Funny Keith Lyle, FUNNY Keith LYLE. You can check out all my social media. I perform in Vegas often doing stand-up comedy at a place called Delirious Comedy Club, which used to be in the downtown Grand, but now is at Hennessy's. It's just moving. It'll be opening March 21st at Hennessy's. They got a big room in Hennessy's. Great setup, great bar, cheap drinks for definitely for comedy clubs, because that's one of the things. You go for entertainment. They have the entertainment tax, all that stuff, like $6 beers, which is
awesome.
Even for
Not
Vegas,
bad,
a great thing. Yeah. I'll be there at the end of the month on the 28th through the 31st. I'll be there April 4th through 7th, 18th through the 21st. Although I do have an April 20th date, I'll be out in Pahrump doing a fundraiser out there for veterans. I got March 9th, I'll be at the Sundowner in Kingman. A bunch of dates coming up, but follow me on social media. I'll be able to give you all the stuff, and we'll have some laughs and a good time.
Any chance you're performing? Sorry, Chris. Any chance you're performing end of April? somewhere?
End of April. I'll probably, if I'm performing, it'll be at Delirious. So
Okay,
yeah,
because
if
Chris
you're
and
gonna
I will be
in town,
around.
I'll
so
make a
yeah.
special trip.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. No, we'll definitely come check out the show. I think everybody, you're one of my favorite follows on Twitter. Everything
too.
you
Oh,
post
thanks.
makes me laugh. And I usually pay attention to nobody else on Twitter, honestly, because it's just a way to get information out there. But absolutely, we're going to definitely come check you out next time we're out there. Big thank you again. We really do appreciate it. Josh, you got anything else before we get out of here today?
No, thanks again, Keith. And hopefully we'll see you along as the bracket challenge progresses.
I love talking Vegas and gambling and all things fun.
We're going to have a lot of people joining us as we finish up this bracket. I'm sure we'll see Keith again before it's all said and done. But for anything else you need, make sure you check out crapvegas.com/brackets or join us over on our Patreon. That's patreon.com/crapvegas. Thank you again to everybody that supports us. We really appreciate it, and we'll talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.
Vegas, here we come.
Thanks for listening to the Crap Vegas podcast.
Have you ever been to Vegas?
Check out all our recent news and our Vegas trip calendar by visiting crapvegas.com.
See you in Vegas.
We hope you enjoyed this week's CV Bracket Challenge voting. For an exclusive video version of this episode and access to all later rounds of voting, please join us on Patreon at patreon.com/crapvegas. Thanks for listening.